Everywhere you go in the Muslim world, you'll find that people know the Burda and that they sing it, whether they're little kids or old people or women gathering together. The singing of the Burda is gigantically important. And the way in which it's sung is the way in which the beautiful universality of Islam expresses itself. Because Islam has a universal dimension, but also particularities which are local. And that's one meaning of his saying, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, بُعِثْتُ لِلنَّاسِ كَافَةً, I was sent to all mankind. He wasn't sent to all mankind to turn us all into replicas of Arabs. Islam has never operated like that. Instead, the genius of Islam has been where it comes to new people and languages and ethnicities and cultures to transform them into the highest possibility that those people can be. Not to impose a uniform Arabness across the Muslim world, but instead to conjure up from them what it really means monotheistically to be Turkish, or to be Nigerian, or to be Malay, or to be French, or whatever it is. The worship in the mosque is always the same. Nobody interferes with the fiqh, alhamdulillah, and the ibadah is the same. The Arabic enshrined in the worship is always uninfluenced by the fads of the age, or by local particularities. But when you get into local sacred culture, the singing of the Burda being perhaps the most obvious example throughout the Muslim world, you'll find that it's local sounds, local rhythms, people expressing their own sense of a local identity using this universal Islamic poem. And that balance between the universal and the particular is one of the great strengths of Islamic civilization down the centuries. And it seems to me that some of that has been lost in a kind of generic Arabization of Islam that we've seen quite unnecessarily in a quite untraditional way over the past 50 years, partly because of the rise of new media platforms and the sense that what the Arabs do must be somehow normative, which is in fact not the case. There's nothing in the Quran about the Arabs as a people, and that's part of his universality. He is sent to all mankind. There is no difference between the Arab and the non-Arab. There is only greatness in the spirit, bit-taqwa, he says. So, one of the things that we do in the Travelling Light series is to try and discover the best of the local singing. And in many places that, alhamdulillah, is still thriving. The kind of singing that people would have done spontaneously at weddings, at dhikr ceremonies, whenever they were happy as Muslims 300 years ago, before modernity introduced either westernizing influences or kind of globalizing Arabocentric influences. The authentic voice of the Muslim location. And in Bosnia, alhamdulillah, we found that that was thriving. And you will have heard the voices of the Nasheed al-Huda group in Sarajevo, but there are many others as well. And we've been able to put on the website downloadable MP3 files, so that even though we can only include a few of the songs in the actual DVDs themselves, you can download more, because the musicians, alhamdulillah, are very generous and are able to make their sounds available in that way. In Spain, we did something that was even more intriguing, because, of course, Spain, it had a great Islamic tradition, but it was wiped out by the Inquisition. The dark hearts of the medieval churchmen found those books and put them in the flames along with the people who were singing. So what could we do in Spain? What we did there was to look at the ancient manuscript libraries and to find the books that the Muslims of Andalusia used to sing from when their culture was still alive and vibrant. Some of those books did escape the flames. Around the city of Granada at the moment, which was the last great Muslim capital of Spain, they're building a lot of golf courses. And they've had to demolish a lot of old buildings, and they've found old manuscripts that were hidden there by Muslim families fearful of being discovered by the Inquisition. Because being caught with a book in the Arabic script under the Inquisition would result in arrest and execution. They used to hide these books, and quite a few of them have come to light. And so we've had a look at these songs, and we've matched them up with what they call the Andalusian tradition of singing in North Africa, particularly in Morocco, amongst people who originally descended from refugees from Muslim Spain, to try and bring life to it. And it was a very moving experience when we first got these musicians together, the Spanish and Moroccan singers, and we heard these sounds that perhaps the land of Andalusia hadn't heard for perhaps 400 or 500 years, coming to life again. It was almost like that scene in Jurassic Park, the movie, when finally dinosaurs are walking the earth again after millions of years. We almost felt a little bit like that. Here is the authentic sound of Muslim Andalusia once again being heard, that the inquisitors, after all, didn't have the final word. That was actually quite a profound moment for us. And then most recently, the most recent set that we've released has been at Sheikh Siraj Hendricks Mosque in Cape Town. Cape Town, because it's Africa, because the Muslims there are highly educated and cultured and have a strong tradition of tasawwuf, highly developed musical tradition, and we had no difficulty in pulling together local musicians and singers. We had Zain Bika, who did a song for us, and Yusuf Hanif and others who are really great voices from the Cape, who have a remarkable way of combining the African and the Arabic, the Islamic, the universal, and also some other sounds that are more subtle, that are particular to the particular ethnic fusion from the convert world, particularly of Sheikh Siraj's mosque, which is essentially a convert mosque, which has been going for at least 100 years in Cape Town. So that again was a very interesting kind of alchemical experiment. So in brief, that is what the project is. It is built around a classical type of lecture, delivering the authentic message of Imam al-Ghazali in a way that we know reaches out to people. And I give it to people who are new Muslims. We have a Hindu convert in Cambridge at the moment who can't tell his parents, and these DVDs are enormously important as a spiritual nourishment for him. He watches them on his laptop again and again. It really works. It does speak to him. But we kind of make it more accessible for the TV world when we put in these songs and the beautiful images of the places where we have made these videos. The intention is to bring out 40 altogether. The Ihya Ulumuddin, of course, is in 40 books. One could make a whole series of DVDs just about one of the books of the Ihya, because it is so condensed, and to decompress it, as it were, would result in many lectures on individual books. But we're shortening it because people don't have much time. And the intention is to bring out, inshaAllah, all 40 lectures. And so far we've produced 12. The first 4 we did in Sarajevo, and the second group of 4 we did in a new mosque in Spain, near Granada, and the third, which we've just completed, was at the Zawiya Mosque, Sheikh Siraj Hendricks' mosque in Cape Town. And the next one, inshallah, will be in Uzbekistan. We're trying to get permission to do it at the maqam of Shah Bahauddin Naqshband in Bukhara, which will be, inshallah, visually very stunning, because Uzbekistan is historically one of the great centers of Muslim scholarship. And I was there last summer and was very happy to see how people have kind of emerged from years of communism like butterflies from a chrysalis, and Islam is really alive there, and the mosques are full, and young people are full of love for Allah and His Messenger. We want to capture some of the beauty of that revival in the next episode, and more, inshallah, in the future. And I hope very much at some point we'll be able to do one in this part of the world, perhaps in a beautiful historic mosque in Malaysia, or perhaps in Indonesia, or somewhere else in the huge Nusantara world of the genius of Malay civilization. The DVDs are being produced to raise money for a particular Islamic charity, which is the Muslim Academic Trust, which runs the company called Mishkat Media, which produces these products. And from broadcast rights, because these are being broadcast in many parts of the world, as well as being sold as DVDs, we generate revenue, which is all applied to the new Cambridge Mosque. The production cost of the DVDs is met by a benefactor in the Gulf. She's paying for all of the cost of production and manufacture. So every single penny that we receive in the sales of the Travelling Light DVDs goes to the funds to build the new Cambridge Mosque. And although I think there's a promotional video which the organisers might have time to show later on in the proceedings this evening, which explains our project in Cambridge, I'd like to say just a few words about it. Cambridge is an international city. It's where I've lived for 13 years, and I was also an undergraduate there some years before that. And it's a city where we attract Muslims, elite Muslims, highly educated Muslims doing masters and PhDs and other more exalted things from all over the Muslim world. And it's very important that they have a proper place to do their ibadah. For whatever reason, the religiosity of the Muslims in Cambridge has been increasing in recent years.